Freeze, freeze. There we go. I'm live. Excellent. All right. Okay. So, hi, I'm Heather. And it looks like the video might have already hung up. Okay. Hopefully this is going to work. So, I am going to start. My plan is to start as many videos as possible with 3 deep breaths and then like a brief head, heart, body check-in, because I just feel like that's a good way to land and then go from there. Okay. My head feels kind of buzzy and full and a little bit it's pressing out from inside. My heart feels like it's kind of in a tight cage. My whole chest has kind of closed up a little bit in the past few minutes. My body feels tight and tense, relatively pain or discomfort free, so that's good news. All right, I do feel a little more present. I tried to go live a couple minutes ago and it just kind of got hung up and I got kind of upset. So wanted to give a general update. This essentially, I do these sorts of things in parks. I know there are some folks who are interested and will watch them and will feel benefit from listening to my story. And mostly though, because I need it for myself. When I don't have someone to talk about a particular topic, then it might just kind of get stuck in my head and eventually I just get full of too many things. Gets too messy in there. So in the absence of someone specific to share this sort of information with, I'm going to share it with myself specifically. And if I didn't already, I will make it live so that any of our viewers who are interested can enjoy it as well. So back in March, I went on this channel and said that I was going on mental health medication, and my intention had been to follow that journey fairly closely by posting regular videos and updates. Unfortunately, that's not what happened. I anticipate that I will find that I did make quite a few videos along the way. I just didn't make very many of them public. So I'm not sure if that means some of them will be really easy and I just need to check them out real quick and then, make sure I'm not saying anything private about anybody else and then make it public, or if they're going to need editing. I don't know. I don't know how much I didn't keep track of, but here's my update now. So back in March, I was in a state of extreme mental distress. And when I finally started seeing a new doctor who is a therapist and mental health doctor, I can't remember her exact title. She was also a naturopath. But basically, we were in triage mode. I was just like, I need to feel better as soon as possible. I can't continue like this. Like I was asking for crisis materials. I was saying I need to be in the hospital or something. I'm a danger to myself. So she put me on something that was very effective very quickly. And I found out from one of my good friends who's an ICU doctor that it's a medication that's frequently used when there's clear signs of mental distress. And apparently it's very helpful in a myriad of ways. And it started to help me right away. After a week or so of kind of transition and feeling extra tired and that kind of thing, it started to really, really help. And since then, it has continued to help. I've been on a stable dose for quite a few months now. Um, but also, unfortunately, the doctor that I had started working with left the clinic. And so basically, she was just able to get me to a point of some stability. And she put in place, kind of bridge doses of everything for me in case it took me quite a while to find a doctor. It turns out that her replacement at the same clinic was the first available doctor I was able to find to manage my medication. Uh, and tomorrow I have my first visit with a therapist at the Integrative Trauma Center. I think that's what it's called. Because the one doctor is only going to help me with medication, so she's not going to be my therapist. But the changes that we've made that already have been extremely beneficial. The first change we made is she took over writing the prescription of my Adderall from my primary care provider because my primary care provider wouldn't write it for more than 20 milligrams. And it turns out maybe that's all I actually need, but the extended release is the key. This new doctor, her name is Dr. Fisher, she put me on the extended release of Adderall, and it's like so much better. So much better, so much more helpful, so much more effective. Today is my first day on 20 milligrams of the extended release. Prior to this, I'd been on 10 milligrams for the past week and was taking an afternoon addition of 5 milligrams of the immediate release to get me through. So, yeah, this is really, really helpful. I definitely today have felt much more organized and focused than I have felt in a very long time. There's still a lot to be desired, but at least with this medication on board, I feel like it's going to help me be more consistent and able to stay with the structure, with a schedule that's helpful to further, support my continued improvement. And she wrote me a new medication that I will, over the next month to 6 weeks, transition onto, and we will, after a little bit, be able to transition off the Seroquel. This new medication, I don't know anything about it quite yet. I need to do some of my own research. But she said that it's found to be very effective, especially for people with my presentation, and it is much more friendly with my liver, which is very important, and it's much more friendly with my metabolism. So hopefully, this extra 20 pounds that the Seroquel gave me will come off fairly easily with as I transition to the new medication and continue to improve my daily exercise habits. And my eating is all right these days, but it could improve. So hopefully that's all going to become pretty attainable. I'm looking forward to trying that. So the other thing that Dr. Fisher has been able to do is she feels very confident about my diagnosis of ADHD. She definitely supports that diagnosis that Dr. Roxanne had given me. And while she's not a neuropsychologist, so she can't officially give me this diagnosis, and she can't, write up the whole report that would really tell me specifically like what my diagram looks like. This doctor feels very comfortable saying that I am on the autism spectrum. She said autism spectrum disorder. So that isn't a surprise. I've thought it that likely for quite some time, and I will pursue the neuropsychologist exam testing. It's just realistically, I know it's likely to be a while before that happens. There's not a whole lot of those folks out there, and then even fewer that take Oregon Health Plan, and then I'm sure they also have very long wait lists. So we'll get that going, but for now, we've agreed to act as if. And so far, it mostly just feels like a relief. It feels like I'm going to have to make sure that I don't immediately jumping into a rabbit hole of research. about it. I don't need further verification or validation that that's part of my whole picture is that I am somewhere on the autism spectrum. That doesn't it's not something I'm trying to fight. It's just I don't yet know what is what is my natural self? What is my natural self as someone on the autism spectrum? And what are the behaviors that I've learned over the course of my life to navigate this life? Um, yeah, because when I told my boyfriend about this diagnosis, he was like, "Wait a minute, I'm really confused because I thought one of the big things about people who have autism is they have a really hard time identifying what other people are feeling, and you're really good at that." And I said, "Well, there's a couple things going on here. One, that's not the only aspect of autism. Number two, women with autism can tend to present differently than boys, than men. Um, and I honestly am not as good at that skill as you may believe me to be. I've not always been good at it, but I've been studying and practicing and learning for several. I think it was around 2018 that I really started digging into those particular aspects of what I needed to learn. And so at this point, I'm not quite sure what is my what is natural, what is skill, and what is learned. What's a mask? What's I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. So that's curious. That's interesting. I feel relief, like understanding some of the things that have been really difficult for me to accept or have been really difficult for other people to accept about me, like how sensitive I am to sensations and textures in my mouth, tastes and textures of food, um, feeling of certain kinds of fabrics or certain kinds of things that just drive me up the freaking wall. Um, as well as my extraordinary emotionality and how I just get so overwhelmed sometimes, and it just yeah, have the kind of fairly kind of the meltdowns. I have meltdowns. My eyes feel very dry. I'm not sure I put my eye drops in today. And yeah, like I'm also really interested in trying to identify, okay, what are my stems? Because I have some nervous behaviors that I some of them I feel a great deal of shame about. Some of them I have trained myself not to do. Some of them I still do and try to keep them as quiet as possible and as secretive as possible because I've gotten in so much trouble at work and in relationships and just a variety of ways and places that I've gotten in trouble or been shamed for my kind of nervous tics and nervous behaviors and I'm curious about those. I'm curious about if there are certain ways that I can maybe redirect some of that energy, or I don't know. I don't know. So I guess, and I guess I need to say out loud the one in particular that I feel the most shame about, the behavior I feel the most shame about, and that I hide from most everybody is that my whole life I've picked at my skin till it bleeds. Um, I've had owies like all over my body my whole life. Sometimes more than others. Like there was one time in at one period, I think it was around 2013, was maybe one of the worst. I just had it all over my legs. I had owies all over my arms. I had them. I think I had some on my chest. I definitely had a bunch on my back. I had them on my face. I had I remember counting once. There was more than 70 owies on my body at that point that I was picking at. And I would wear long sleeves and cover them up as best I could and hide it as best I could and wear band-aids and just do so many things to try to curb this behavior. And yeah, it's not easy. Right now, it's probably as low as it's almost ever been, and that I only have a couple of owies still present on my body, and they're on my back. Um, the other thing that I'm doing that I think is going to be really helpful is someone I really respect and have been following for a few years named Amy Porterfield. Um, she's big into marketing and course creation and that kind of thing, like online business. And I don't believe like everything she shares, and not everything about her approach is, I feel this what's actually the best way to go about things anymore. But a lot of her work is really good, and she's releasing a book. It's coming out in February, and as a way for her to kind of get some pre-sales from the book and really generate buzz. She's giving away a very generous gift with the purchase of that book, pre-order of that book. So I pre-ordered the book, and now I have a course that she created called Side Hustle, like called Side Hustle Launch. What is it? Here it is. Side Hustle Starter Kit. That's what it's called. So I got the Side Hustle Starter Kit for pre-ordering her book, and to reset your mindset around work and business and priorities and how to set up your life to like be successful, to be self-employed. And that was like just a special bonus, and I was really excited to see it. So I started that today and took a pretty clear look at my life. And I sort of wish I would have brought my notebook. I think I intended to, but I'm also trying to keep this really short, and it's already 17 minutes. So, but she just walks in the first day. She just kind of walks you through each aspect of your life, and you have to kind of write down like, how do you feel when you wake up in the morning? How does it feel the first part of the day? How do you spend your time? And then when you're at work, how do you feel? And what are you spending your time with? And who are you talking to? And uh, how much time you spend doing stuff that lights you up. And uh, yeah, it's definitely very clear to me that while I haven't quite figured out how to replace my income from rideshare driving, I really gotta get out of there as quickly as I can. Because it feels like every hour I spend rideshare driving, I'm gambling. I'm gambling with my safety. I'm gambling, that I'll continue to be accident and ticket free. I drive very, very safely, but there's so many things going on the road that anything could happen at any moment. And I just feel like every time I accept another ride, it's like I'm, throwing the dice. Is this going to be a ride that takes me somewhere that works for me, or is it going to take me out into the boondocks? Is it going to take me somewhere where I'll be able to get another trip, or is it going to take me somewhere where I'm going to have to drive for 20 minutes before I can get another trip? And am I going to average $35 an hour, or is something lame going to happen? I'm going to average much less. So I'm basically not willing to drive rideshare unless I'm pretty confident I'm making at least 30. 35 feels a little bit better. More than that obviously feels way better, but it's not very common anymore to get more than 35 bucks an hour. And I make about double what the average rideshare driver makes in Portland. Most of them average around $17 an hour. And I think that's just maybe because they're driving more hours and driving empty more often. Maybe they just stay online and sit somewhere. I don't know, but I'm not willing to do that. I either want to be working or somewhere comfortable. Like right now, I'm house sitting, and I want to be here if I'm not driving. This is a really nice place to be, really comfortable and sweet and quiet. And this is what's good for me, is to be here, not out driving in the rain. And there's not a lot of hours during daylight, and I don't want to drive after dark. And so I need to cut back on rideshare. That is not the best use of my time by any means. So, yeah, I'm really trying to remove the blocks that are in my way, most of them mental and emotional, that are between me and the execution of my ideas and my plans so that I'm finally putting out into the world the courses I want to create and the worksheets that I want to give to people that are helpful and the support that I want to offer and the women's circles I want to lead and all of that. The cuddles, consent, and boundaries workshops that I want to facilitate. That's how I want to spend my time. And the 20 hours a week I've been spending in my car would be much better spent working on those things. But I have to be willing to, again, roll the dice that one way or another my needs are going to be met um, financially, even if I'm not out there hustling for myself. So, to that end, I have a buy me a coffee website set up. I'm continuing to fill it out further, and I'll just keep making progress on that. And there's a lot of other stuff I want to do, but more business oriented updates. I think I want to put on um, my Heather Thomas Campbell website or YouTube channel. So, okay, time to wrap this up. If indeed anyone ever sees this, thank you for being on the receiving end. I hope this was interesting. And yeah, just find that telling my story often helps other folks feel more comfortable about their lives and their stories because they feel less alone and less weird when they hear that I have some sort of similar experience as they do. So, all right, have a great day. Bye.